Welcome back to week 7 with Now Dev Notes and me, Faith, your key study partner. I cannot believe this is the last week of our application development series. Last week we focused on automation and making sure we're cutting down on the amount of repetitive tasks we have throughout the day. We focused on Flow Designer, creating and responding to events, and being able to create repeatable and reusable code through script includes. This week, we're going to focus and conclude our series by focusing on the service catalog with just a hint of testing. Let's get started. So we're focusing on the service catalog, and the service catalog is located within the self-service application. And the service catalog is what we've always known a catalog to be. It is just a list of all of the services and items that can be requested. And all of these items can be moved between different catalogs. And all of these items are organized or grouped into what is known as categories. And these are what the categories look like. So the service catalog has two key outcomes that could take place. The first really focuses on the overall process once a user has submitted a request. And what this looks like is, I think of it as like once you have all of the items in your cart and you hit that submit, that is when this outcome is going to take place. Once that submit button is pressed, there are things that are automatically generated. The first thing that is automatically generated is a request. The request record is what I like to think of as like the receipt. And inside of the receipt that is going to track all of the things that you ordered, the second thing that is automatically generated is a request item. And the request item record is that individual item that you requested. Each individual item that you requested. So again, if the record is our receipt, the requested item is each item within that receipt. The third thing that is automatically generated are the request tasks. And the request tasks are literally just the actions that need to take place to ensure that this request is fulfilled successfully. And if this request requires approval, these approvals are handled by workflows. And workflows are great because they help to automate the approval or denial process of a request. So if that request is denied, then those service catalog tasks aren't going to execute. And if it is approved, then they will be able to execute to make sure that that request is fulfilled.
To create a service catalog item is actually pretty easy. You just go to all for the application navigator, and then inside of the service catalog application, you will click on catalog builder. And once you do that, it will open up in a new tab. And it's great because it guides you through each part of setting up the catalog item. So remember, an item can be a service or an actual item. So for what I'm going to create is going to be just the service, the technology setup that is often needed when you're going to be delivering a talk. So you would put the item name and then a short description, which again is just requesting support for the devices. And the great thing about the service catalog is you also can add an image to go along with the item that you are creating. After that, you either can click on the location over here, or you can just click continue to location. And the location is where you want it to live, where you want requesters to go to request this item. And because I'm using a template, you'll see this lock here, which means I can't change that. Again, because that comes from the template. But I was able to edit the categories because I only want this to be in the service categories. So here you see you can move them over. I'm going to keep mine in services. You then have to create the questions that you want to be asked along with the item. And all you have to do is select insert new question. Once you select create a new question, you will select the question type. And then it has subtypes to go with it as well. And then the details. And then as we're used to, either mandatory, hidden, or read only. And then you'll click insert question. And I have 3 here already. So if I wanted to edit this, I would just click on what kind of looks like controls over here. and I can go in and edit. So here's one of the things I had a choice field, and you see it gives you a preview over here as you build it, which is great. I said that this will be a drop down, and you could do fixed values or values from a table. Again, everything is here for you. You fill in the details. I made it mandatory because I want to make sure that they answer this question. And then you go to choices. Again, very step by step, and you can add the choices that you want them to be able to select from. And then if you need another one, you select insert. A default value if you need it, and then an annotation if you want something to pop up on the side for them to have more information on how to fill in this specific question. And then you would click save. And so I just have select the device that needs to be set up. If you have any additional needs, I have a text type and multi-line just in case it gets a little lengthy, just for them to fill in extra information about what requests they have. And then finally, I just have the what is the date and time of your room booking. And again, when I go look at it, it's a date time type just so that they can fill it in accurately. After you have selected your questions, you will go to settings. And there's just some settings here that you can add to your item. Access, again, my access is locked because I'm using a template. The fulfillment process for me will be a flow that I had already created, which would be the service catalog item request, but you can select from flows that are already made. And then after you review it and you make sure that everything looks good the way that you want it, you click submit. And now let's go see what this looks like in the service catalog. So let's test out that newly created service that I created earlier. And the way that we request an item is through the service catalog. So you just type in, begin typing service catalog. And remember that's under self-service. And I am going to go to services because that is the category that the service was placed in. And I'm going to select the one that I wanted, which was technology setup service. And then I would just fill out this information. So I could say that I need it for tomorrow. This is automatically populated. The device that I need, I will put in additional needs if I needed it. And then what is the date and time? So let's just say it's tomorrow at the same time. And then I can click add to cart. And then I can continue shopping. And let's say I wanted to try one more time. I wanted a different setup service that maybe I forgot. And I know I need one today. And I'm going to just select this date and time. And then I'm going to add it to cart and proceed to checkout. And now it says, thank you, your request has been submitted. And remember, this is one of the outcomes. I just requested 2 items actually. And what happened is those 2 items were within one request order. And what was automatically generated was that request. Here's my request number right here. And if I click on it, I can also see that 2 request items were generated as well. We also can see the stages. So remember, the approvals are handled by workflows. And once those 2 approvals are completed and it moves into the order fulfillment stage, and this is where if I click on one of the request item records and I scroll down, I'm able to now see the service catalog tasks that are generated to actually fulfill the order now that it has been approved.
The second outcome that can occur in the service catalog would happen through record producers. And record producers are just a special kind of service catalog item that allows users to fill out a form within the service catalog and submit that form. And once that form is submitted, a new record is created within whatever table was specified. So record producers are still just a form that allows users to add records to a table, which is similar to the standard form that we use within a list. So you really just have to think about what is going to be the best functionality for your users that are going to be using the application, because both record producers and just standard forms and lists add records to a table.
So to make a record producer, you just begin typing record producer in the application navigator, and it's going to be under catalog definition, and you go to record producers. And from this list view, you just will click new. And then you will begin filling out this information. But I do have one already created. So let's take a look at that one. Mine is called room damages, and it's exactly what it says. It allows the room leaders to document room damages for repairs. So you will give it a name. You will select the table where you want these records to be stored. So then you begin with what it will contain. So what it will contain, you have your short description. You also can have a longer description as well. Redirect to a generated task record, or you can do a catalog homepage. And you can also have a script in your record producers. It is not mandatory, but again, if you want to add extra functionality, you can. Here I have a function that basically automatically sets the priority field depending on what category was selected. So if electrical was selected, then the priority will automatically be set to 1, and so on and so forth. I also have a log here for gs.info just so I can make sure, again with testing, to ensure that this is actually what I want, and it's returning what I actually want. And also, one of the things that it said you can do is also redirect to another page. I don't have it here, but if you wanted to do that, you could just use producer.redirect_URL and then add in the URL to whatever page you would want to redirect to. But this is the script that I chose to make. And then you also can add images. And then we get to an important part in our record producer. You have to add variables. If you do not have variables, you will not have any actual questions for the user to answer. And the way that you add a question is you just click new, and then you would fill out this form, and then you would click submit. Let's take a look at one or a few that I've already made. So one of the ones that I made is for what category does the damage fall under? And what I did in here is, one of the key things that I love is that you can map this question to a field from the record that you have. And that's great because what happens is when the user answers the questions in this record producer and hits submit, then whatever field that is selected, and for me that is the damage category, that field will be automatically populated with the information that the user submitted for this question. And so you just add in the question, the name is automatically generated, but you can't edit it. You can add an annotation if you want to give the user more information on how to answer the question. And then the type specifications are important because that is based on your type. So I picked the type select box, and you have to say what the choices are. For me, I made the choice table be the room damages, and the choice field would be the damage category. So that they're only going to be able to pick options from that field. And then you also can select a default value, permissions if you only want certain people to have read, write, and create abilities, and then availability for where you want this question to be seen. And then if this was a completely new variable that you're creating, you would click submit. But for me, I would just click update. And taking a look at one more, I have the who is reporting the damage. And this variable, the type is a reference. And again, I made sure to map this field to the reported by field. And it's important for the reference to remember that you'll type the question, you'll give it a name, and you can give it an annotation if necessary. But in the type specifications, this is where you will say what table is being referenced. So just making sure that's clear that that is under the type specifications. And then again, you can give it a default value, permissions if needed, and then availability. And just like with all my other ones, please make sure that each variable is marked active so that it can be shown and used. And you always can use mandatory, read-only, or hidden as well. And again, if this was new, you'll click submit. But for me, I would just click update. And now that we've completed the what it will contain, then we will go into accessibility. And in the accessibility, this is where you would specify the catalogs that you want this record producer to be found in. And you can add a category. You can search for categories that are already there, or you can just create a new one like I did just by clicking new. You also can use templates, and then you also can modify portal settings if necessary. And once you're all done, again, it either will be submit if this is completely new, or update if you're updating one that you already have. All right, so let's test this record producer out. But before we do that, please also remember that down here, you also can see all of the other things that you can add to the record producer as well. Remember, if you want to increase the user's experience, you can add catalog UI policies or catalog client scripts. There's just a lot of different things that you can add to your record producer right down here for access. But let's test this out. So you'll just click on try it. Makes testing very easy. And I'm going to fill out this form. Now I have my form filled out with the time and date, what category, again, just select the category, the room, a summary, and who is reporting, and then click submit. And here it is. You can see all of the information that I just submitted from my record producer is now populated here in the assigned fields. And although I can see it here, I'm also going to go into the table as well. And I like this shortcut again, the table name .list, so you can see all of the records. And there it is, right at the top. And now we see that the record has been created thanks to our record producer. And now we have a record in the room damages table created.
And please don't forget about testing. You've seen that I have incorporated testing each time that I have built a new feature because I want to ensure that it works now and not wait all the way until the end. Remember that you can test manually by using the test management app, or you can just insert in some data to see if that works as well. If you don't want to do it manually, you also can use some automation for your testing. You can use the automated test framework to create as many test cases as your application needs to have those run automatically. Make sure whether you are manually testing or doing it in an automated manner that you are doing it to ensure that these applications are running smoothly and executing just as you wanted them to. And just like that, we did it. We made it to the end of our application development series. Today, we focused on the service catalog and the two possible outcomes that could arise within it. We also talked about testing to ensure that it is happening, to ensure that our applications actually work the way that we want them to. I love my room booking application, and I would love to see the applications that you built as well. Post a video, describe it, tag me. I would love to see what you were able to create within our study sessions. And it was great studying with you. I'll see you next time in whatever our next series may be.